Some say I'm a bit of a fool, sitting on a hill and counting raindrops. Keep thinking I just wanna go to the peaceful place I know that I belong. But oh, 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 it's time to go. I'll see you soon. 'Cause I can't wait for tomorrow to say the things I wanna say. Your smile will always lead my way. I can't wait, I'm coming soon. I just wanna see your face again. Some say I'm a bit of a fool. Driving down the road, I stop and listen. I hear your laughter in the trees, and it's whispering to me, my love is you. But oh, 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 it's time to go. I'll see you soon. 'Cause I can't wait for tomorrow to say the things I wanna say. Your smile will always lead my way. I can't wait, I'm coming soon. I just wanna see your face again. 'Cause no one knows just where or when their time on earth comes to an end. And I'll find you, and I know that you will be my love again. 'Cause I can't wait for tomorrow to say the things I wanna say. Your smile will always lead my way. I'm coming home to you. I just wanna see your face again. I'm coming home.
This congregation changed its name to the People's Church of Kalamazoo in the 1890s. That was a bold name, full of hope and full of commitment. A hope that our church would serve both the people who are members of our church, but also all of the people in our community, even people who have never heard of People's Church. And we have lived into that commitment, running the first kindergarten in Kalamazoo until the public schools saw its value and took it over. Being a place of respite and joy for mill workers who lived very hard lives in this community. And now resettling refugees from Syria and Afghanistan, teaching other congregations how to move towards net zero carbon emissions in their buildings and doing that work here, nurturing community partnerships, whether through period product drives led by our middle schoolers, or learning about substance use disorder and being trained to administer Narcan to keep each other alive. Being the People's Church is both a theological claim and a practical reality. This is a church of the people, by the people, for the people. And this church exists because of generations of people who have built it to what it is now, who have given their time, their talent, their money, who have done the works of love which none of us can accomplish alone. It will continue to exist because all of us choose to take on this mantle, this responsibility, this commitment, and this hope, and carry it forward. So come, let us gather together. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. As spring and the stewardship drive is upon us, let us all celebrate. Let us all marvel. Let us be awestruck. For the same force that brought our planet into being, the same force that evolved tiny atoms and molecules and DNA into intelligent life, the same power that transforms autumn into winter and winter into spring, that same power is still at work in the universe and in us, always bringing new creations and new possibilities. We welcome you to People's Church. Whether you are on Zoom or in person, we are so happy you are here and with us today. We would like to extend a special welcome to the visitors from K College. There would not be a People's Church if it weren't for the wonderful individuals that keep showing up to do the work. My name is Sharon Sauter, and I'm a member of the Sunday Service Committee, and I am so glad you are here.
And as we begin, a few announcements. Today is a specialty class day for our elementary schoolers, so you can make cookie houses or play outdoor games or do something called sweet treats in the kitchen, which sounds amazing. And so gather in room 9, which is the Buddha room, kind of directly behind. And from there, you'll get sorted into your groups and do your activities. Our coming of age for youth and adults class continues after the church. That's also room 9, the Buddha room back there. This session is focused on spiritual practices, and it's a great session to jump into, even if you haven't gone to any of the other classes, because it'll be kind of a sampler. Diane and I and a couple of lay members of this church will talk about our spiritual practices and what helps us stay grounded and aligned with our deepest integrity. There is lunch. There's also childcare. Please come. You've probably already picked up that this is our stewardship kickoff, and so we have signups in the foyer and online to attend Grateful Gatherings. I wanted to say that in the announcements because some of you will scatter to go teach our children, and I wanted to make sure you knew to sign up. Also in the foyer today, we have books and journals for the live streamed conversation with Layla Saad, put on by Isaac. Layla Saad is the author of Me and White Supremacy. This gathering will happen 2 weeks from yesterday in this room, or you could watch it from wherever you are. We have 2 memorial gatherings this week. We will be celebrating the life and mourning the death of Donna Graff on Thursday on what would have been her 89th birthday here at People's Church. So visitation is at 5 p.m. and the service is at 6. And on Friday morning, there's a gathering for Dottie Goodwin at Sarkozy Bread from 9:30 to 11:30, an informal gathering to remember her and share stories. Next Sunday is one of my favorite Sundays of the year. It's the Question Sunday. So instead of preparing a sermon for you all, I will be answering your questions live in the service. So either bring questions with you or have them ready to go in the Zoom chat box or send them to me during this week so we can all figure out what we're wondering about, and I can do my best to respond, if not answer, the questions. Now we sing.
Yes, I invite you all to rise in body or spirit to sing our opening song together. Appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit, once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Thank you.
It's time to light our chalice if Nilo would like to come up. If you are lighting a chalice at home, you are encouraged to type in the chat box, "A chalice is lit in your neighborhood, city, or street." Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead.
In addition to our chalice flame here at People's Church, chalice flames are kindled this morning in the Millwood neighborhood, in Matawan, Westwood neighborhood, in Lawton, on Munson Lake near South Haven. What a gift it is to be together in time, even when we are not together in place. Also, Parkview Hills. Now, I place a few more stones in our bowl of water for all of the joys and all the sorrows we're holding quietly in our heart today, the joy and sorrow in our wider community and our wider world. Sources of reason and radiance, sources of courage and compassion, keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this day. May the suffering be soothed. May the weary find rest. May the sick be tended. May the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded. And may all of us know we are wrapped in a love that surrounds us always, a web that connects us to all that exists. Sing our children on their way with these words of blessing.
Go forth in peace in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way, and may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go. Go forth in peace in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way, and may the joy of life
Over the last few weeks, I have done a lot of asking of people in this church if they could do things. And you all have responded with a lot of generosity, asking the board if they could pledge early, asking people if they could lead board games for our specialty class for grown-ups that's coming in 2 weeks. Get excited. Asking people if they could host others in their homes for conversation about generosity, which I'll be talking about more in a moment. And most of the time, you all say yes. And it's really amazing the way you show up for these projects and your community. And when you say no, you say it kindly. And that's probably just as important, to know your limits, to not give something that you just do not have the capacity to give at that moment, and to trust that everyone else might have that ability. So this is where I invite you to continue to say yes to this community and say those holy no's when you need to. This is where I ask you to continue to support the good and important work with your giving. The offering will now be received.
Please join me in the words of giving thanks for all that sustains us. From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love, which none of us can accomplish alone.
Our words for meditation today are from Marta Valentin. She writes, in gatherings. In gatherings, we are stirred like the leaves of the fall season, rustling around sacred trees, tossed hither and yon until we come to rest together, quietly, softly. We come to gather strength from each other. We come to give strength to each other. We come to ask for strength from the spirit of all that is and is not. When our hearts sing or when they frown, it is the way of compassion telling us to give. It is the way of peace telling us to share our gifts, for we are happiest and most powerful when love is made apparent in and through us. Spirit of the circle that is love, as we twirl in this dance that is life, we give thanks for reminding us each day of our task of ministering to each other with a searching glance, a safe touch, a generous smile, a thoughtful word. Thank you for reminding us that we are always building our beloved comunidad. Thank you for reminding us that through our covenant with you, we covenant with each other and are made whole. In gratitude, we celebrate with open hearts and minds. We discover who we are, separate from each other and within one another. In this circle that holds all life, may we ever work toward widening its boundaries until there are none. Amen. Paz. Blessed be.
I invite you to join me in song from your seats. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour,
Our first reading today is from Ursula Le Guin called Operating Instructions. Human beings have always joined in groups to imagine how best to live and help one another carry out the plan. The essential function of human community is to arrive at some agreement on what we need, what life ought to be, what we want our children to learn, and then to think, to collaborate in learning and teaching so that we and they can go on the way we think is the right way. Nobody can do anything very much, really, alone. What a child needs, what we all need, is to find some other people who have imagined life along lines that make sense to us and allow some freedom, and listen to them. Not hear passively, but listen. The next reading is When Giving is All We Have by Alberto Rios. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond in wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and over again. Giving is first in every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together we are simply green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together we made something greater from the difference.
And our final reading is Sharing by Atina O'Danner. I scraped my bits of clay together until I had a hand to reach out with, then shared what I had. I sang myself together until my voice could be heard again, then offered a song of comfort. My friends and I pour the same water between our cups, taking turns. Everyone is thirsty. No one dried out. This is how we survive the drought.
For this one, I invite you to rise and body your spirit to sing together.
So much of the most important ministry we do here at People's Church happens in small groups. In a small group, elders speak honestly about the challenges of aging and find understanding and solidarity together. In small groups, our coming of age for youth and adults class play Unitarian Universalist Jeopardy, learning important facts about our history, laughing together, and discovering who among them is very competitive at games. In a small group, our board, your elected leaders, ponders hard topics with integrity and care, charting a course forward for this congregation. In a small group, the Inquirers class, a mix of newcomers and longer-term members, learn about how this place works, and the newcomers discern if this is the right spiritual community for them. And these are just moments in small groups that I have witnessed and taken part in recent months. There are so many more that happen in our church community. There are the moments of deep listening, deep sharing, and deep connection in our chalice circles that feel almost magical. When you are living into the words that science fiction author Ursula K. Le Guin wrote in the passage Sharon read earlier. What we all need is to find some other people who have imagined life along the lines that make sense to us and allow some freedom and listen to them. Not hear passively, but listen. Listening is an act of community, which takes space, time, and silence. There is our 5th and 6th grade Our Whole Lives comprehensive sexuality education class that's going right now, and that consistently runs 30 minutes beyond its scheduled end time because the children are so engaged in the topic and have such good questions. There's the choir and the bell choir, creating music together, but also creating community, singing themselves whole and offering us all songs of comfort. There are all of you who have showed up to learn with others recently in our joint book study of On Repentance and Repair, Making Amends in an Unapologetic World with 2 Jewish congregations in town, in the LGBTQ plus 101 and pronouns workshop with Out Front, in the substance use disorder and overdose prevention training with Cope Network. And this is just the last 6 weeks. It's been busy around here. And in these groups, you have shown up to learn facts and data and stories, but more importantly, you have shown up to learn how to better be love in the world, how to quite literally keep other people alive through Narcan, and because we know getting pronouns right is suicide prevention. We know this. We are doing this here for our community within our church walls, but also beyond. The day after the LGBTQ plus 101 and pronouns workshop, I was at a meeting of the Kalamazoo Foundation for Excellence. This is the Kalamazoo Municipal Foundation board that I sit on. And Sandra Calderon, who's the chair of that board and works at the YWCA, told me she was out earlier that day and saw some people wearing pronoun buttons. And they caught her eye because they were not the typical youth and young adult demographic that is most likely to wear pronoun buttons. And when she complimented them, they said they got the buttons at People's Church. And Sandra was so thrilled to tell me about you all being out there doing good work, living our values, normalizing asking and sharing information about pronouns and not assuming things about others. And I was delighted, but not that surprised, honestly. This is who we are. Wearing your new buttons, whoever you were, I don't actually know who this was, but you guys are stars, made a difference and gave me the chance to sing your praises in front of the mayor and the vice mayor and the city manager and a whole bunch of other important people in our town. So thank you for that chance, and thank you for what you are doing. It matters. And I could keep telling stories about small groups here. Our religious education classes for children and youth and adults, our book clubs, the study group, the film group, the group that make our fundraisers happen, our amazing committees. I feel like I could probably hand a microphone around and just invite you to tell the stories, and that would be the rest of our afternoon. There is one special small group that you all show up for, and you're not even present in the room, so you might not know how you are showing up. So I'm here to tell you. In small groups, I gather with the grieving loved ones of people in our community after they die to plan their memorial services. And this has happened too much this year. 12 memorial services and memorial gatherings and other things in our church community this year, 2 more in the week ahead. But because of all of you, I can say things like, we have musicians who will make that happen. Or a team of volunteers will manage the reception. You just tell them what you want the food to be. Or our AV team will live stream the service so people can watch and participate from far away. Or I have detailed notes here from your loved one about exactly what they wanted in their memorial service. And when I say those things, the grieving ones do this full body exhale, right? There are so many things you have to manage after somebody dies, so many logistics, these to-do lists that just stretch on forever. And to have something taken off of that list just allows them to relax a little, the burdens to lift a little. And they know they are not alone, that they have people, that they have this community who will show up for them in the midst of grief and do what they can to help. That moment, that we've got you, we can help, you are not in this alone moment, is probably my favorite moment as your minister. To be able to show up to people who are grieving and overwhelmed and say, this is a thing that you don't have to worry about as much as you were, to care for people in that moment. And it is your skill and commitment as individual musicians and AV volunteers and our reception team leaders and the people who show up to bring the food, and your collective employment of a staff team that can show up and do some of this work too, that makes all of this possible, that gives us that moment when people are in some of the worst times. So thank you. It matters more than you can know. Thank you. Your stewardship team and I know the power of small groups, of conversation and connection that can happen when you're sitting around a table together rather than in a room with a few hundred other humans. And so we're trying something different this year as our stewardship season begins, as we ask you to make your financial commitments that will fund the church for the fiscal year that begins in July. We're inviting everyone in the church to attend a small group grateful gathering over the next month. The signups are in the foyer. Perhaps you saw them on the way in. They were also in the weekly email and available on the church website. About half of you who are in chalice circles, your chalice circle is becoming a grateful gathering this month. Talk to your chalice circle facilitator if you're not sure if you're in one of those groups. So these grateful gatherings will be a chance to gather with others, obviously, either at church, in people's homes, or over Zoom, often over a snack or a meal. And it will be a time to connect with others that you might not know yet or might not know well. Leaders from the board, finance committee, stewardship committee, and I will guide you through a conversation about the role the church plays in our lives, the current state of church finances, and generosity. You'll receive your personalized pledge materials at this gathering. And we've done a couple of practice runs or beta tests of these gatherings, and they have been really inspiring to hear the role that the church plays in people's lives and hear those powerful stories. So, and meeting in small groups will allow us to go into details about church finances in ways that I can't in a sermon, and we can't in a stewardship letter either. So we have charts we want to show you, really get into it. And we want your questions, of course, most importantly. So when the service is over, I invite you to open the link that was in our weekly email or wander out to the foyer and sign up for a grateful gathering that fits your schedule. We have dinners and lunches and coffee and desserts stretching over the next few weeks. We have a couple of events here at church that have childcare included, including a pizza dinner next Friday night and an ice cream party 2 weeks from yesterday. So immediately following the Isaac, Me and White Supremacy watch party. So anti-racism, ice cream, generosity. Sounds like a pretty good way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Just saying. And those events that have childcare, it doesn't mean that if you don't have children, you're not invited. We want everybody there. We just know childcare can sometimes make things more accessible for families with younger children. There's also Zoom gatherings if that's your preference. And if you look at the calendar, look at the signups and can't find anything, please let us know, because we think we offered a wide spectrum of possibilities. So these gatherings are for everyone. If you've been here for decades, please sign up. If you've been here for a little while, please sign up. If this is your first Sunday, but you think this might be your new religious home or are curious to get to know a few people, please sign up. Or if your style is to find your way in more slowly, that's great too. Know that I don't talk about finances every week. We're not usually quite as self-referential about our own selves as we are today, but we do talk honestly about important things every week. Today, it's just money and stuff like that. If you are one of those people who budgets yourself down to the dollar or the penny and already knows exactly how much you can give, so anything said at the gatherings won't shift what you've budgeted for the church for the coming year, please sign up. If you're not sure that pledging is possible for you right now, or you don't know what your finances are going to look like in a few months, please sign up and let us feed you at the very least. These gatherings are for everyone. And the conversations and connections and learning will be worth it. As I told our hosts in an email a few days ago, having people together is just as important as the pledging piece of it, right? Our church has been through a lot over the past few years, as the world has too, right? There was pandemic, there was change. About 20% of our congregation has joined in the past 4 years or so. So we are different. We're a different church than we used to be. We don't all know each other, and you can't all know each other at this scale. Like, our brains actually don't allow that. And so getting to chance to connect with a random group of people who are also free that Sunday afternoon for lunch could be really lovely. So I encourage you to do this. So if there's any part of you that's wondering, is this really for me? The answer is yes, okay? When the stewardship team and I started asking people if they would be willing to host these gatherings, almost everyone said yes. And most of the people who didn't say yes said things like, oh, I can't host, but I could help clean up the one that's at the church, which is amazing. And so we may be over-recruited on this. So we don't want to have to cancel on anybody who's offered a chance for people to come and be with them. So really, please sign up. People are ready to host you. Please let them. This will be really lovely, I think. And if you really don't want to do this, if the Grateful Gathering thing is just not the way you want to do this, that's fine. We'll be mailing out pledge material soon too. There's room for everybody and all styles. This is a moment that we need community. Perhaps more than ever. The world is always uncertain, but it feels especially uncertain now. The climate is changing, and this week where we've had both snow and sandal weather, we've been feeling that mix of both joy and dread that happens on a day that is too warm in February. Fascism is rising. The risks to our safety and our bodily autonomy, especially for the most vulnerable among us, are increasing. It is a hard time to be a human in the world. And this is no time to go it alone. We need our communities. We need this church. Gil Rendell, who's a church consultant, writes, healthy communities are both critical to and essential in a global and a national time when we experience institutional gridlock in the midst of deep yet quicksilver change. Gridlock in our national politics and in our global corporate economics means that any real change must come from the local level, from the community, and from individuals willing to be in community with one another for a healthy purpose. And it is at the community level that we will build the stability needed to withstand the speed of change that overwhelms us individually. He continues, I'm fascinated by the Polish sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, who calls our time a liquid culture. By liquid culture, Bauman means a world changing so quickly that the time necessary for a reasoned response is disallowed. By the time a response to any change is determined and moved toward implementation, the conditions requiring the response will have changed yet again. Things are changing so quickly. None of us can manage such a world by ourselves. He concludes, now that we live in a liquid culture, in a world divided by populism, a nation that will not release itself from its debilitating myths of racism and homophobia, how will we now be with one another? How will we now be with one another? I don't know the full answer to how we exist in the world now. I don't know if anybody does. Anybody who can speak to that with confidence is probably lying, honestly. But I do know some of it. I see the wisdom in what poet Atina Danner writes. My friends and I pour from the same water between our cups, taking turns. Everyone is thirsty. No one is dried out. This is how we survive the drought. Being thirsty but not dried out. That feels like the lesson for this moment. This is what we do together. We give what we have, we share. It becomes enough. Probably not everything we've ever wanted, but enough. We continue to hold fast to our values, even when it's hard, maybe especially when it's hard, and we turn to one another to give us the strength and the courage to keep doing this work that the world needs. We need one another to learn and to grow and to transform and evolve and to celebrate and evolve, to live our values, to love the parts of the world that we can reach. I am fond of saying that People's Church is a radically anti-capitalist project, which might be a little too lefty for some of you, and that's okay. But when I say that, I mean it is a community of love and hope, which as I stand here in a space named the Commons, you all named this room the Commons, which I think maybe was a reaction against words like sanctuary or, I don't know, anything too religious when this building was built in the late 60s, but the Commons, it's for everyone. The church doesn't belong to us. We belong to it, and we belong to each other. Here, we do not charge admission, even though the music is really good this weekend. We probably could have. Thank you, bells. Thank you, Owen, wherever you wandered off to. And the choir is singing in a little while, and it's really good. Thank you, Chris. The church auction is the only time around here when the people who give more money get more of something, right? We ask you to give what you can, whether that's a lot or a little, and it becomes enough. In our practice here, everything we do is rooted in the logic of community and care, not the logic of capitalism. And yet we live in the world and the church needs money, right? You have to pay your employees. I am glad to have health insurance. Thank you very much. This building requires maintenance and there's lights that are on and bells that are rung and all of the things, right? I don't need to tell you all of this. Here we are we are all givers and we are all receivers. People's People are both the church's biggest source of funding and its biggest beneficiaries. Knowing that I am on both ends of this is why I pledge. This is why part of the salary that you pay me circles back to the church to fund the good and important work we do here together. I am increasing my pledge this year because I know the realities of the church budget and how inflation is impacting it, which you all will get to learn more about at these grateful gatherings. Because my family's financial position has improved a lot over the last few years, as my spouse has been promoted and our children are both in elementary school now, so we are no longer paying more than our mortgage for full-time childcare, right? That's what's real. Because this community is helping me raise my children, showing them ways to live lives of integrity, generosity, and joy that rhyme with and reinforce what we teach at home. Because a couple weeks ago, my eldest, who is very into sports, said this church should be changed. We should change our name from People's Church to Goat Church, which means greatest of all time. And then said, but then we'd all have to vote and I'd have to explain it to everybody and then probably everyone would vote for their favorite idea. So he's already learning how democracy works, isn't he? It's cumbersome. But the fact that your minister's kids like this place is not a small thing, right? This church has a habit of that, but so many clergy kids grow resentful of the church and the way the role it plays in their parents' lives. And there'll probably be times, but that is not where they are now. And that is a gift to me. And I'm incredibly grateful. So I am increasing my pledge 20% over what I pledged last spring. Maybe you can join me. This generosity is joy to me, to have enough to share, to know that I am doing what I can to carry this important community forward. But none of you probably share the specific list of financial circumstances that I laid out. So maybe generosity looks different for you, and that is fine too. My hope is that when you gather, when you talk about why this church matters, when you learn about church finances, when you think about generosity, when you fill out your pledge card, you are able to feel joyful about your generosity too. Joyful about all of the ways you give with money, with time, with talent that helps carry this community forward in a time when the world needs what we have to offer so much. The moment is calling to us, and let's answer the call. So sign up for a grateful gathering. Be grateful for what happens here. Be generous so it all might continue. May it be so. May we make it so. Amen.
No, I don't. Yeah. Yeah. There is a place I love to call my own. There is a peace I only feel in sharing it with you and letting you share too. It makes the welcome real.
Singing alone, it lets my heart shine through. But there is a music in your soul that joins its voice with mine. It's only then we find the kind of peace we know is true. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. Even a word that left me bruised before, even a name I'd learned to fear, is welcome in this place. It helps me see the face of God to greet my outcast ear. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. And these incidents we hold, we sing, resolves us to one goal. We'll spend time together in these holy moments. Give us strength to go down the winding road until we meet again. We have spent time together in these holy moments. Give us strength to go down the winding road until we meet again. And my prayer for you is a peace that's true until we meet again.
So a programming note as we conclude, our service is ending about 10 minutes early, which means parents of children in the program, it's you have 10 minutes of adult conversation. So get a coffee, enjoy talking to someone without being interrupted by a small person, and then at noon, go and fetch your children. If you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you are concerned for its future, share its message. If its values resonate deep within you, give it a measure of your devotion. This church cannot survive without your faith, your confidence, your enthusiasm. Its destiny, the larger hope, rests in your hands. May we go in peace and go in love.